What up? What up? What up? It is another early edition of the Shark Cove. I've got so much stuff out of the way already today, and I've got so much more to do that we're going to go ahead and drop an early edition. I thought it was actually pretty helpful, at least for me. Nobody asked my opinion late. So when I kind of steered towards EDG being the best play yesterday, that nobody asked. I don't think I was quite there when we did the pod. So maybe, my opinions will change, but I'm a little deeper in. I've gotten the projections. I've modeled out the over-unders a little bit harder than I did yesterday. So maybe we're a little more prepared than we were yesterday. Maybe we're going to get some better results. I absolutely love this slate. In contrast to what we saw yesterday, which was just a bunch of good teams playing bad teams in situations where you didn't really want to play the dog, and none of the dogs ended up winning. IG gave us a shot, but they ended up just giving a shot to EDG and their point total. Today, we don't really have more than one team that we can clearly say is a good, solid favorite. Now, we have some favorites. We have some teams that have been playing good, but that doesn't mean that they're good teams. So let's take a look at it, because I do like this slate. I think it's wide open. I haven't paid attention to the pricing, so we will build some lineups and try to figure it out from there. But let's go ahead and let's take a look at some of the teams that are playing today. First and foremost, let's take a look. So we've got our old friends, the guys that have made us so much money, and that's not true. This is the team that has lost us a ton of money. But when you look at these numbers, it's like, man, can I go back to them? Do I go back to them? Am I going to go back to them in this game? So it's Nongshim Red Force. Let's talk about who Red Force is playing. Red Force is playing the Guangdong Freaks. Look, this is a situation where KDF is typically a pretty good team when in the lead. They're a pretty good team when they're a favorite. And as you can see that they're a favorite here. They did, however, fall to a much better, at least it seemed like, a much better Sandbox team who was then absolutely throttled. Now, the T1 line's not even up for some reason. But just starting off with Guangdong and Nongshim, these two teams potentially have, quite a bit of fireworks. I mean, when we go back and we take a look at what they've done so far, Guangdong and Red Force, both are teams that have given up quite a few deaths and a loss. So Red Force 17, 17, 16, 19. And then when we're looking over at Guangdong, 21, 14, and 17. So, we do have this, long-standing belief, and that I think is a little bit overblown, that the LCK plays slow. I don't think that they play as fast as the LPL and other regions. But we've talked about in the past some of the reasons that they still end up scoring well in fantasy is because of the kill participation that goes along with those kills. Sure, they might have 2, 3, 4 less in a win than maybe an LPL counterpart on average, but they'll have better kill participation in a lot of those positions. Specifically on KDF, I mean, it's hard to kind of even project out what they look like in this meta, because right now in wins, Teddy is holding like a 50% kill share. I don't expect that to stand. I think it probably goes back a little bit closer to maybe what it was last split, which is like a 30 to 35, which I still think is a little bit higher than what we've seen in this meta for ADCs. But, the point that I'm getting at is both of these teams do give up a lot of kills. And, in KDF's, side of this, they get some kills and losses. They're okay in wins. We have no idea what Nongshim looks like in a win, because they actually have not won yet. But like this 25-19 loss to T1, that was probably something that we can qualify and quantify as a win. They have enough kills within these games, and even against DRX, enough kills that you can kind of quantify these games as wins and extrapolate from there. So, I'm really excited. I don't know how ownership is going to look at these two teams. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit later. In terms of actually betting this, I don't think I want to bet this on either side. I don't want to bet the over 2.5. I've been informed that is a sucker bet, and it's been explained to me, and I've done the same explaining to other people. So we'll just stick with that. And I don't want to bet the plus 1.5 or the minus 1.5 or the exact score. I think this ends up going 3, and if it ends up going 3, I think both of these teams are very live to be one of the highest scoring teams on the slate. Let's see. We've got a comment here. I have a theory that KDF and Nongshim are the same team. They just have multiple accounts. Yeah, I mean, except for maybe is Teddy playing, both of these accounts at the same time, because he's not paying a lot of attention to his ghost account and he's paying quite a bit of attention to his own. So, when it comes to stacking teams, this Red Force team has never more recently this version of the Red Force team has not been one that we wanted to, stack up. BDD had terrible kill participation, terrible kill share. I mean, just up and down from a fantasy perspective. Even when Nongshim won this year, spring, they did score really well. That hasn't been the case. A lot of those have returned to norms. They just need to get some wins. So, that's the first game that we're going to talk about there. The other one is T1 and Sandbox. I mean, in a lot of cases, I think T1, and they're obviously, the big favorite here, they should anchor most of your cash games. If you're playing double ups, head to heads, I mean, maybe even winner take alls, I think that they're going to be, ever present in those places. You just have two different ways of looking at it, I guess. I mean, do you go with the 4 stack for the safety and hope that they get a clean 2-0 sweep? They just haven't been that team thus far. Or do you go with 3 T1s and go with 4, whatever other team you decide to put into your stack, hoping that, they get the win, but they don't do it in such a fashion that kind of breaks open other people's lineups, because I do believe that you'll see a lot of 4-stack T1s in cash and double ups. Again, haven't looked at the price. That's just me off the top of my head. Now, when we take a look at the LPL, it's a little bit different. We've got 4 teams here that just, while everybody loves anyone's legend, they are playing an LGD team, and this matchup right here typically spells fireworks. LGD is a plus 215 underdog. They've gone ahead and replaced their mid laner, who was absolutely atrocious. Yag did not do the job. Kill participation, kill share just wasn't there. Just overall bad. And then on the other side of things, this might be the largest line that we've ever seen anyone's legend or previously Rogue Warriors, anybody from the post-COVID era, myself included. I don't think we've ever seen anyone's legend a minus 300 favorite. And, deservedly so. When you look at these two teams, who any one legend has beat, we'll go back and look at that and how they've done so. They look like they're a team coming into form. I don't necessarily think that they're an elite team, but right now, should they be favored over LGD? Absolutely. We talked about it on Saturday that, underdogs, specifically plus 200 ones, have a low success rate, as you would think, probably lower than most people believe, especially in the LPL, as we, always preach, play dogs, play dogs, play dogs. And it's because, you remember when the dog hits and you get $10,000 or you win $1,000 or whatever the case is. You don't remember all those times that the dog didn't hit or they took the first game like IG last night and then just fed into it. If there was ever a team in the spring split that was big on feeding into 3-game massive series, it was LGD. And I get that this team is not the same team. They don't have a match fixer, but they still do have, the same top, mid, and support. So, I mean, how different can they be? I do think that this is one of those series that we could probably look at the over-under and, maybe attack the 25 or 26 range. Let's see if that's the route that we want to go. Let's take a look at the LPL. We're talking anyone's legend here. So when they win, we're talking about 15 to 16. They do have the ability to go a little bit higher, a little bit lower, but probably 15, 16 is a good average score. The one thing that I am looking at here is that they do allow quite a few deaths in those wins. So maybe the 26 isn't there. I think you could take a shot at the 25 but I'm probably going to abstain from it. Two, I don't know why I do this all the time. I have them as anyone's legend. I put their same win there. I forget who they beat in the first series. Nevertheless, we'll have to fix that. They did lose to LNG. They were pretty competitive in that. BLG, they went ahead and swept them. We just saw BLG look kind of all out of sorts, losing to Top Esports this morning, struggling with Up, and after a significantly promising, decent opening series against LNG. When we take a look down at TT, a little bit less of a positive thing to look at. Where's TT in this list? Here we go. We got LNG and V5. That first series, looked pretty good against V5. With I personally thought V5 was a little bit out of sorts, and I bet against them, numerous times since that series, but they've come through. So maybe Thunder Talk is a little bit better with this iteration, and that makes a lot of sense. New top laner that's not new. You've got Baishan, which is just a huge upgrade in that jungle position. And, UCal's a good mid laner. I mean, overall, this team should have been better. They still have a lot of mistakes, but I think some of those mistakes that they made against V5 and LNG aren't going to be punished in the same manner or fashion when they're playing a team like, anyone's legend. Or they're not even playing anyone's legend. My mistake here. We're talking LGD. Man, maybe I shouldn't do these early. Can I cut that out? No, we're live. I can't. If this is a video, man, maybe that's what I should do. Anyway, that's my part on TT. We're jumping around here. Back to LGD. Absolutely smashed by JDG. Did pull out a win. Victory 5. Scored a ton of points. They had a lot of points on the other end. So anyone's legend should be a smash play here. But LGD, they give up a ton of kills. But this just feels like a series where they can, they can do something. Man, I'm off my game here. So let's talk about the other one. Let's talk about TT. I think anyone legend beats LGD. I think LGD is live. I think the series does have a lot of potential fireworks. LGD did show a little bit of life against V5. Now that TT team that we talked about, they are, playing Team WE. Team WE is not doing themselves any favors. I don't know if somebody can go back and take a look at it and see how many different iterations of starting lineups teams in the LPL have had so far throughout this year, 2022. But man, this WE team is just taking players out, putting them in. Took forever for them to get their roster in spring, and then even then it was rotating. We've got a new mid laner. They've taken Shanks out back and forth throughout this entire split. And this is a team along with TT that we don't think very highly of. We think these are probably two of the three worst teams, LGD being the other one. And Team WE, I mean, the results have shown that. Now, granted, they have played some stiffer competition. Top Esports, Weibo Gaming, and they looked pretty good for like a game and a half against Weibo. Obviously, they got that win. They got a nice opening sequence. They just weren't able to hold it together. You can see that they're giving up between 15 to 23, so probably a 16-17 kill win for Thunder Talk if they win. And that kind of falls in line over here with Thunder Talk and the kills that they've gotten, even in their losses in the games that have been close. Now they've been giving up somewhere between 14 and 19. This 8 is kind of an outlier here. So with a 17, I think that's pretty fair to think that while I don't know if we see a lot of these games go over the 24, 25 mark, and that's where I think most of the over-unders are set for these, they do have a shot. I guess this is the way that I would look at some of these over-unders is I'm not betting the specific number, the 25 or the 26. I think I'm going to take a shot and try and get some additional equity out of the 27 or 28, where you just hope that this game turns into an absolute fiesta. And the same can be said about anyone's legend in LGD. When we're looking at these numbers over here, I don't know if you're getting the equity and how close it can be. I mean, I'm projecting these around 24, 25 kills as it is. So the number seems pretty on point. But if you could get some added value on that 28, I do think that these are teams given the quality that they're playing at each other, they're similar in quality, that you could get some pretty explosive games. I think that that's far more likely than seeing some of these non-explosive games that we've seen from, better teams when they're standing off. Just these bad teams tend to take more chances and make more mistakes. And even when they have a lead at times, they go ahead and they throw back that lead to the other team. And that just leads to higher scoring games. When we take a quick look at how these teams measure up, so we don't really have any data here, so that's fine. Let's just hop into the score. Let's take a look and see how these teams all project out. So Labs, the beautiful product that it is, does not have TT's top laner in there, but beyond that, we have the Afrika's team is looking like the top scoring. Anyone's Legend is up there, T1. So the projection's not really like in Fearness, not like in Dove, not like in Bubu, even in wins. And even our boy Canna is coming in a little bit lower, specifically in those losses. Now, again, the projection set for Nongshim is kind of weird because their wins and their losses, a lot of the data I just copied because they don't have any wins. And like I said, we can kind of extrapolate some of those wins into losses. When we look at the jungle, Anyone's Legend, TT, Nongshim's coming up top there, but WE not there, LGD not there, Sandbox not there. When we're looking over here, we've got TT, Anyone's Legend. So it's kind of strange that we're going to have a slate, I guess, at least for me, where we are potentially stacking, TT and Anyone's Legend. And I guess Team WE is coming in as the favorite. This is basically a pick 'em here. But it just feels weird that Anyone's Legend and WE, this iteration of WE or TT, depending on how this line moves, is going to be a double fave lineup. So that's kind of interesting. We'll see how that kind of fits together. ADC wise, Betty is returned into massive projections. SMLZ is up there. Teddy is up there. These guys are getting a lot of kills for their team. So let's put together some lineups. Let's see how this kind of looks when we're playing the favorites. Take a couple of these things out. Man, I can't believe I mixed up the teams earlier, and I'm not drinking. I'm completely sober. So that's just, it is what it is. So when we take a look at these two teams, let's grab this, take it out, projected points, Anyone's Legend, and Afrika, or Kwangdong. Still haven't changed the logo. Great product. It looks like you can get a 3-4, and I think you could probably change this around too. If we're looking at, maybe not. I mean, team slot, we don't have Anyone's Legend in here for some reason. That's another one that they've just never added despite my requests multiple times. I think I need to send in, individual requests for players. Whenever I send in a single request that has like multiple players, they just pick and choose like the first one that I said, and they do that one. It's kind of weird. But yeah, I like this lineup. Can we do something different? Can we get, probably not. What's a team slot that we can add here? Is there another team slot? Can we go to Thunder Talk? We could do something like some Thunder Talk here, right? Oh, shit. What did I do? My bad. So if we add Thunder Talk to this, and then get rid of Ying. No, we can't do that. So all right, let's take a look at this then. We've got 530. If we go here, our projection brings us to a 541. Looks like you can kind of manipulate that a little bit if you wanted to and move Forge up here into UCal, or even probably Betty at that point. But let's see, can we get these two together with a carry? Sure can. Looks like there's a little bit left over. I don't hate this either. Is that big difference? Pricing? Yeah, pretty significant. Betty's a lot more expensive. So it's 531. I'm guessing you can't really do anything with this. Nah, that makes sense. 507. All right, well, let's take them out of it. Let's go TTT1, 530, 517, 516, 534. It's all kind of falling in place there, but let's throw Nongshim in with a couple of these teams. 524 doesn't feel good. 510. 508. 529. Okay. All right. So, I mean, look, when we're pairing these teams, and I guess we could throw LGD in there too, but I don't think that they projected nearly as well as some of these other teams. Here's kind of my thoughts when you're pairing these. It looks like you can do carry captains in most of these cases because these are pretty close money line odds. Afrika and Anyone's Legend presents some advantages that you don't get with some of these other builds, and that's specifically that like teams like Nongshim, teams like TT don't have super strong ADCs. I mean, look, even WE doesn't have necessarily an ADC that elicits a lot of confidence putting him in your DFS lineup. So when you have two ADCs like this, you can get the Betty and Teddy. It rhymes. It's great. Makes you feel good when you do it together. You can get that lineup in there. I don't think you necessarily need to do that with some of the other teams. And so if you feel like this is a situation where I guess, Forge has an opportunity to really kind of abuse Hachio. How is he in? How is this guy? How is this guy in the player pool? Unbelievable. But if you feel like he has an opportunity to excel in this matchup, maybe you do go with something that's more like Anyone's Legend and a TT that projects pretty closely to a lot of those. And maybe you do something like this. We get Forge into the captain slot because then we can definitely go ahead and put UCal there. You get a nice 4-3. You've got UCal in that lineup. I think this is a strong 4-3. I'll probably run this in a couple different lineups or contests. So I think that's an option that you have there. I don't know what we're doing here. Why are we resetting? Okay. So I think that's an opportunity that you have. I mean, because when you do look at some of these projections here, while the ADCs are pretty high, TT's UCal is up there along with Forge. So that just makes an interesting build. I don't think that a lot of people are going to have it. Maybe they will if you're one of the several people that watch this show or the rebroadcast, but that's kind of where I'm at. I think that either of that early game, whether it's Kwangdong or Nongshim, maybe is even the key to this entire slate. Splitting that game, I mean, a lot of people are going to have T1 in cash, but I don't think they're going to have them in GPP nearly probably as much because of these other available, or maybe they will. Maybe they want the safety of T1 to go with, whether it's, double LCK with Nongshim or Kwangdong, or they want to try and take a stand on WE or TT. I don't know. That's just not initially where I'm going with my thought process. And I don't know if my thought process is what most people are thinking. So I'm going to give this some more thought throughout the day. If you want to know what my thoughts are later on during the rebroadcast, or if you are watching this during the rebroadcast, around the 9:30 p.m. Eastern time frame, go ahead, find me over in the esports department Discord. If you don't know where that is and you're not a part of it, you can go over to my Twitter. It's at Emrick D4U. That's the letter D, the number 4, and U. That's draft 4 upside. That's what that stands for. But I went ahead and put the esports department Discord link in my Twitter profile, since there is not a website to direct you towards. The actual invite is right there. But beyond that, there's other content that you can find in there. I post my ERL bets in the content section of that Discord and many others. And while it's been a tough week, I think we came out positive, 1 unit today after an absolutely atrocious day yesterday, but a really strong last week. So we're going to carry that momentum maybe make a couple of these academy bets that are about to start in 15 minutes as it's 3:45 Eastern. And then, yeah, I will see you guys in the Discord. I'll see you, later tonight, maybe, as a rebroadcast. Maybe you want to watch this a second time, but we'll be back. And I think it's going to be a normal hour. It's going to be a late night live stream tomorrow. Try and bring a guest, make this a little bit longer, see who we can get. If you guys have any thoughts on who you'd like to see on the show, hit me up in the DMs, hit me up on Twitter, put a comment on the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later.